PDLs din, mga PDLs din, na kunyari, abogado, kunyari, teacher, kunyari, basta, ganun, paralegal ang tawag ng sarili nila, may sarili silang computation.
Meron ba mga tiga-UP doon?
Isa lang, Mr. Chairman, bago ako mag-alis, isa lang, kunti. Ito, para sa aking former boss, Secretary Guevara, sir. As a non-lawyer, I am confused. Please enlighten me. Ganito yung nangyari. Yung mga Supreme Court ruling na nagsasabi doon sa mga petitioner na okay, you are covered by this law retroactively. Meron yan sila siyam na mga petitioners. Sinabihan sila na Supreme Court, kayo, covered. Pwede kayo mag-avail dito, retroactively. Posible ba na hindi alam ng Supreme Court na itong siyam na na petitioners are convicted of heinous crimes? Kasi pag sinabi ng Supreme Court na pwede kayo, covered kayo, pero alam ng Supreme Court na heinous crimes yung kanilang conviction, so it clearly support the stand of Bucor.
Is there a question around the corner?
Sir?
Does the Supreme Court know
Does-
that the 9 were convicted of heinous crime?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
What is the answer?
It depends on the pleadings filed by these 9 petitioners. I have not seen those petitions, so I wouldn't be in a position to know whether they admitted to the Supreme Court that as petitioners, they were convicted, sentenced to, convicted of heinous crimes. That all depends on whether that information was alleged in the petition filed by these 9 inmates that you were mentioning. But as far as I know, Mr. Senator, the Supreme Court really limited itself only to the resolution of the issue on retroactivity and
That's
nothing
correct.
more.
Hindi na nasama.
Yes, sir, but yung siyam talaga, specifically, nakasama kayo. So pag sinabi ng Supreme Court na kasama kayo dito, covered by this act, dapat alam ng Supreme Court na heinous crime yung kanilang conviction. But anyway, thank you, sir. Maraming salamat po. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I'm sorry that I have to rush you because of because last time we extended by an hour. Finally, we have Senator Recto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Most of the issues have been ventilated earlier as I was watching the proceedings from my office. I only have one last issue to ask of, one last issue, Mr. Chairman, and let me ask the Secretary. Secretary, what is the procedure and who signs the final order for pardon?
On the matter of executive clemency,
Yes.
Senator, the matter is processed by the Board of Pardons and Parole.
Mm-hmm.
So they review the carpeta or the case files of the person concerned
Mm-hmm.
and determine if there will be sufficient justification to recommend the grant of executive clemency to that person, whether it be absolute pardon, conditional pardon, or commutation of sentence. Then that recommendation is submitted to the Secretary of Justice, if I'm not mistaken. So it goes to us, and we transmit that to the office of the President. Now, if the recommendation...
There is a vetting process.
Sorry, sir?
There is a vetting process.
There's a vetting process, obviously, Mr. Senator. So if the recommendation of the Board of Pardons and Parole is negative, not for the grant of executive clemency, then that's the end of it. Nothing for us to transmit to the office of the President anymore. But that fact alone does not preclude a direct recourse to the office of the President, because the power of the President to grant executive clemency is plenary and absolute. It doesn't have to depend on the recommendation of the Board of Pardons and Parole.
And that is constitutional.
And that is according to the Constitution.
So the Constitution authorizes the President.
Yes, absolute and plenary
Okay.
power.
Is there any other mode to reduce one sentence. So you have pardon. What else do you have?
This, exactly,
Parole.
the GCTA is one
Is the
avenue
other- yes.
to shorten the sentence, and of course, well, parole is totally different matter.
The
It's
parole,
a
how does
conditional
that work?
release.
How does that work?
Parole is a conditional release granted by the Board of Pardons and Parole, subject to certain conditions like visiting the parole officer occasionally or from
Yes,
time to time.
yes, yeah.
And if there is any violation on the part of the parolee, for example, he commits a crime, then that parole will automatically be
So
revoked.
it's
and
still,
he-
it is the same board.
Same board, the Board of
Okay.
Pardons and Parole.
And who signs it? The Secretary of Justice.
No, the Board of, does it go? The Board of Pardons and Parole has control over this matter, but the Department of Justice, Senator, is represented in the board by one of our undersecretaries,
Yes.
who acts as chairman
Oh,
ex
who
officio.
issues the parole? Who authorizes the parole?
The Board of Pardons and Parole.
Who is the final signatory?
Well, all of them, all of the members of the board.
So
of
it is a
Pardons and Parole.
resolution passed.
A resolution passed by the board.
And that is found in law, creating that board.
Yes, sir. I think in the indeterminate sentence law
Okay?
or
Okay.
all
And
right,
now,
its own law on the
and-
Board of Pardons and Parole.
and today we're discussing Republic Act 10592.
That is correct. That is a totally different
Correct,
matter.
correct. And in 10592, it is a very short law. It is only 3 pages long.
That's what I noted. There's nowhere as close as could be found in that
Yes,
law.
there's no declaration of policy. Now, having said that, Mr. President, what section in this law authorizes the Director General to release any prisoner under this law?
Nothing.
There is nothing.
There's nothing.
So why is it that the Director General has the authority today to release prisoners under this law? If there is nothing in the law that authorizes him to release.
Well, it must be based on some other law, not on the GCTA. Bureau of
Okay.
Corrections Act. It's the law that strengthens the board or the Bureau of Corrections that authorizes.
Okay. But
or
it
gives
is
that
not in
authority.
this law.
No, not in that law.
Okay?
Some
Now,
other law.
Some other law.
The Bucor law.
Okay. So you mean to tell me the Bucor law authorizes the Director General to release prisoners? To approve the release. Okay? Now, remember, we're talking about the law 10592. All these issues was brought about because of this law.
Yes.
And when I review the law, there is nothing here that authorizes the Director General ordering the release of any prisoner based on the time allowance granted here. Section 5, Article 99. Article 99, the title is who grants time allowance, not authority. It does not grant authority to the Director General to release. The title alone says who grants time allowance. Tagabigay lang ng time allowance at tagabilang lang, but not to release.
That is correct, Senator.
That is correct. So, how is it that 2,000 inmates have been released by 4 previous Director Generals when there is nothing in the law that authorizes it? Tagabilang lang ng time allowance eh. And that's why there are only 10 sections. Okay? Many of the sections deal with the counting of the allowance. Okay? The Director General of the Bureau of Customs, the Chief of Bureau Jail Management and Penology, the Warden, tagabilang ng allowance. But not necessarily to release the prisoner. And then you have Section 7, implementing rules and regulations. Now, I suppose that in the implementing rules, dapat yung Board of Pardons din. There is a vetting process. Binilang nila, they can recommend to the Board of Pardons whether or not these prisoners eligible. That is my interpretation of the law.
In the implementing rules and regulations, Mr. Senator,
Yes.
the creation of an MSEC or Management Screening and Evaluation Committee is created, and
Yes.
that screening committee which evaluates.
Yes. In fact, I went over the implementing rules. Nothing there talks about also the chief of the Bureau of Corrections that he's authorized to release prisoners.
Because it is found in another law.
Yes, I understand. But with regard to this law, I don't see any authority given to him here in this law. And as you said earlier, there is none. Now, finally, what happens now to the 2,000 that have been released? Ano yan? Pauhuli ba natin yan? Pababalikin ba natin yan? Now, under the same article, it says, whenever lawfully justified. In the same section. Meaning to say, yung pagbilang ng time allowance, dapat lawfully justified. Kung hindi siya lawfully justified, baka pwedeng ihuli ulit. I suppose that's where the President is coming from. If the President did order na hulihin ninyo ulit lahat yan. Siguro nakita ng Pangulo o yung sino man ang nag-advise sa kanya that there is this section whenever lawfully justified. Could you care to comment, Secretary?
I noted that particular phrase as well, Mr.
Yes.
Senator.
Yes.
Whenever lawfully justified,
Justified.
then GCTAs shall be or may be granted by the Bucor chief or the BJMP chief, and so forth and so on. So conversely, if the grant is not justified, or rather the basis for the grant is not justified, then it follows that the grant is null and void.
Okay.
And for that
So-
reason, appropriate remedial action may have to be taken. As to what exactly that is that a recommitment? Is that by virtue of a warrant? That's something for us,
Yes,
for us
to
further
consider,
flesh
yes.
out.
Yeah, so, in summary, one, I think we agree here that nothing in the law, in this law, authorizes the Director General to release prisoners. Not he, not the Chief of Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and not a warden. There must be a procedure. And I suppose you have to take this law with all the other laws together in releasing prisoners. No? Okay? And second, meron palang pwedeng gawin. Doon sa 2,000 pinakawalan, pwedeng gamitin din yung batas na to para hulihin. Dahil hindi lawfully justified. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Recto. I just would like to say that tomorrow we're resuming the hearing at 10 o'clock in the morning, same place, same guest, with an addition of some. We'd like to finish by tomorrow, and we will include the amendments to the law, so the points of the Secretary of Justice are well taken. We'll take note, and we're drafting the law as we speak, the bill as we speak. I would like to tell everybody, if I may have your attention, that we're very relieved that Mrs. Gomez has come back from the hospital. This is just goes to show everybody na ang gravity nito pinag-uusapan natin. Talagang masakit. Tinamaan na tuloy ng high blood pressure attack si Mrs. Gomez, and I really apologize to her for the inconvenience, but we really had to ask those questions because talagang napakahalaga na makuha naman yung side ng mga tao ng offended party na kumisan nakakalimutan na isa sa tabi. And it's important that we all remember that we are all human, and that kailangan rin talaga makasama yung mga tao na talaga nasaktan, no? At hanggang ngayon nasasaktan. So I would like to thank everyone for coming here today. Tomorrow, yes, Senator.
That Mrs. Sargenta, Mr. Sargenta, and Mr. Gomez be already excused from tomorrow's hearing if they want to be excused. Just to repeat for the record, may we move with the approval of the chair that Mr. and Mrs. Sarmenta and Mrs. Gomez be excused from attending tomorrow this hearing. It's not easy for them to attend this hearing. They can come if they wish to, but they are not compelled to appear here. That's my motion, Mr. Chair.
Well, ma'am, sir, it is up to you. If you want to come, you can come. We would like you to come. If you feel that you want to see and oversee what is happening here, you are most welcome because indeed you are the focal point of this investigation. So, ma'am, if you're going, you'll be most welcome. But if you cannot make it, if you feel it's too taxing, please be assured that we will try to make sure that justice is done here. Ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So, we have run out of time. 3 minutes to game time here, meaning the session. So, with your permission, I will suspend the hearing until tomorrow. We will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. So the policeman can come. Thank you. Session is suspended.